There is a solution for that is sponsored by VARC Solutions. VARC Solutions helps small businesses succeed by delivering expert QuickBooks bookkeeping, consulting, Quickbase development, and integrated solutions. If you own a small to medium-sized business that uses QuickBooks or Quickbase, the experts at VARC Solutions can help. In business since 1999, with people who care and the knowledge and experience to solve your toughest problems. Visit varcsolutions.com for all your QuickBooks needs. Welcome back to another edition of There's a Solution for That, where we help small businesses succeed by discussing challenging business problems and best-in-class solutions. All right, welcome back, everybody, to another edition of There's a Solution for That. My name is Brad White, your host, and we've got an amazing guest on the show today. Because really today we want to talk about how to get more value out of the trade shows and conferences and events that you're attending, how to maximize what you're doing in terms of your booth and your space and things like that. And we've got a lady and a company on the show here that is an expert at this, been doing it a super long time. Barb Woody of Exhibitors Service Network. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about you.
A little bit about me. I've been here with this company for about 15 years, Exhibitor Service Network. I was new to trade shows when I came, have learned a lot in the process, and has seen a big evolution in the trade show industry, different fluctuations over the 15 years from, the beginning, and then, people tried virtual for a while and then went back to actual physical trade shows. And
yeah,
it's a fascinating industry.
I know we have seen a lot of changes ourselves, and we, of course, as a company, have not only attended conferences, where we've seen, a lot of what's going on, but we've also been, booth sponsors at different trade shows and events. So we've kind of seen it on both sides, and I know you have probably 100 times more so than we have, or maybe even 1,000 times more than we have. How did you guys get started in this? So how did Exhibitor Services Network get started?
Exhibitor Service Network was actually started by a gentleman named Steve Alford in 1997. Steve had served for 8 years in the military and the army, and was deployed to Desert Storm. After he got out of the army, he went to work for his parents who were in the trade show industry. They eventually left the trade show industry, and Steve decided to open his own company. So in 1997, he opened Exhibitor Service Network. Sadly, Steve passed away unexpectedly in 2024, but our team has continued on in his legacy, continuing to build this company and make it all the things that he dreamt of it being.
Wow, I mean, I'm sorry to hear that, but it's a fantastic story in terms of, being just a startup and then a bigger and bigger thing. It's always, to me, it's always fascinating to find out how people kind of got started in a business, because a lot of the times it's not just like this intentional, well-planned, executed thing. It's like, I'm going to go do this and then just grow it. It seems to always be like, well, I was doing this and then I suddenly, heard about or did this thing, and now it's a business, right? So sometimes it's just by happenstance. So I'm proud and always happy to hear about some of the successful ones. So glad that you're here, and I'm glad that you guys are, continuing to grow the business. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a great place to work, and we have a great team here.
That's awesome. And so just for the audience, what are the kind of things that you guys do? And in other words, the show is all about the solutions to problems. And so what kind of problems do you guys solve in the market?
Well, one of the things that kind of sets us apart from some of the other, especially national companies, is our one-on-one service. What we strive to do with every single production that we do, no matter how large or how small, is end-to-end client service. What our goal is that our client can walk onto the trade show and show their wares, and they don't have to worry about getting their freight there, setting up their trade show booth. In the design process, we meet with the clients, talk about what it is that they're wanting in their booth, what do they want to display. We have a great team that works, our designers are a great team of designers, and they actually will take like the logo or look at the website of a company to get ideas, not only for just colors that they might suggest using in the booth, but also shapes.
Mhm.
Shapes have a lot to do with, incorporating it into there. So we help with the design process. And then every one of our shows that we do, or every event that we do, has a project manager. And
Okay.
that project manager basically holds the hand of the customer from beginning to end, from from the time that the design is decided upon until the show is actually over and the freight is shipped back to where it's going. So we provide an end-to-end service.
Well, I think that's great, and I can certainly value and appreciate all the things you talked about. Lugging stuff around, dealing with shipping and, getting to the airport and you've got the oversized luggage and, all that stuff and then getting it, into a taxi or an Uber. I mean, all of that stuff is just quite frankly painful. Um, one of my most recent uh, experiences was so we went earlier this year. We went to the National Association of Home Builders,
Mhm.
the International Builders Show in Orlando. I wouldn't be surprised if you guys did some booths for some clients there, but I just remember when we got there, it's like this whole convention center, and there was two different locations, but the one we were in, it was like a mile long in each direction, and it took me an hour just to find like
Where you were going?
yeah, yeah. So I can just imagine, for people that are doing that all the time, especially with some of those bigger, more complicated booths. Um, Having someone that's just managing it all and taking care of it would be incredibly valuable. So thank you for what you're doing there. So you already answered one of my questions, but along those same lines, sounds like you do the install as well, the setup, the tear down. You can handle all that stuff too.
Correct. We do, in Houston, in where our main office is, we do all of the labor ourselves. When we have out of town booths, depending on the size, we may send a supervisor, but we work with other companies that partner with other companies to do installs and dismantles all over the country, from New York all the way to California. So, in fact, right now I have shows going on in Las Vegas and Atlanta, as well
Okay.
as Houston just finished up a pretty big show. So we take care of all of it. Our install guys, our every booth has a lead on it.
Hmm.
The install and dismantle people are available by phone 24/7 if there's an issue. If someone has a problem during the show, their TV doesn't work or something like that, we'll go
Right.
down to the show floor and fix it. On shows that we have a lot of booths on, we actually have someone there during the show the entire time. So, and if not, if they're in Houston, we're only 20 minutes away from either venue. So,
Okay. That's
so it's,
awesome. That's
yeah.
awesome. Well, I know, again, just kind of relaying some of my experience. I know that when I've walked into a convention floor, I mean, there's every different style, shape, size you can imagine. You can tell the ones that are on the smaller end, simpler side, and then of course you've got these people that have created 3, 4 story, not monstrosities, but just 3 to 4 levels of amazingness. So what kind of things do you do? And I know you've got some examples as well that you can show us.
Yeah, if I could share my screen, I can give you an idea of some
Yeah.
of the different types of things that we have available and that we do.
Yeah, please do. And by the way, for those of you that are listening to this podcast versus watching it on YouTube, if you go to our There Is a Solution for That podcast channel on YouTube, you can also see the visuals that Barb is going to show, and there's some great ones there as well.
So this first example, or these first three examples, these are prefabbed items, displays for trade shows. And these are things that people will typically, a lot of them store them here and we still ship them to the show, but a lot of people will go ahead and set up their own. These are relatively easy to set up. And if you want something on the less expensive end and something that you can do yourself, these are the types of things. We have hundreds of different styles and variations available. You can put monitors on them, as you can see in one of the examples. You can backlight some of them. There's all different things that you can do. If you can dream it, we can pretty much find it for you. Next are our custom booths, and probably 90% of what we do is custom. We build our booths out of aluminum extrusion. And on the lower end, you would start with a booth like this first one where the metal extrusion is showing. This is a very plain, basic booth. This is actually, those are Velcro panels for people who just want to bring up maps or something that they want to be able to Velcro to a back wall. Next, getting up just a little bit, more elaborate, is where some of the metal, that next one down, the one that is turquoise, has some of the metal covered and some of it exposed. Again, it has some panels in it that are graphics, and it also has some Velcro panels. And then you get to, this is another example of a booth that has some metal showing. This one, though, is a little bit taller. It's a 16-foot, and it's an island. One of the important things that we do when we're working with the company to design a booth is the first thing we do is look up the booth regulations. Every show has booth regulations of what you can and cannot put in your booth. And sometimes people, would like something, but it's not allowed in their type of booth space.
Yeah.
So we make sure that when we design it, we're going to be able to build it at the show without a problem.
Well,
Next.
I was just going to interject there. Again, same thing. It's like I've experienced that a little bit ourselves. We were at a conference that had really the ceiling height in the conference area was probably like 30 feet high, but for whatever reason, the organizers had a max 10-foot high requirement.
Right.
And then when we tried to go higher than that, they called us on it. I was like, let's see if we can get away with it. But no, they're pretty strict when they've got the requirements.
Yeah, and we have seen people on the show floor that have tried to put up a booth and have actually been stopped. And I mean, that would be the worst case scenario for anyone attending, obviously exhibiting at a trade show, is to get there and find out that they're not going to let you put your booth up.
Yeah.
Also, depending on the size and shape of the booth, it might require engineer stamp drawings, which we can provide if necessary. We have to provide structural integrity statements on our booths that go over a certain height. So there's a lot of things that people might not think about when they're going to a trade show, as an exhibitor, that we take care of all of that, make sure that everything is going to go smoothly, and that when you get there, we're going to be able to put your booth up and you're going to be able to display your products. The next one is actually a gun booth that we did. And this one that has slat walls where people can display product. And we actually wrapped the metal. So no metal is exposed, but it's all wrapped in vinyl to match their logos.
Nice.
And then finally, the next one is all covered with PVC. So there's no metal exposing, has built-in cabinets. Those pictures on the back wall are actually framed prints. They're not part of the graphic. The rope on the back of that is actually a real rope, a real maritime rope. And then we also do double-decker booths that have like a conference room up at the top and storage below, or in this case, they had different demonstration rooms on the bottom of their booth. So those are just some of the kinds of booths. We have a saying in our office that we are only limited by your imagination and your budget and the show regulations. So.
Right. Yeah, don't forget about the regulations. No,
so,
I love that.
know,
I love that. And I really appreciate you showing some examples there too. Because, when, I mean, I don't know if I'm sure you've experienced this, right? You've got certain clients that are probably very, very creative, and they'll like come to you with like 30 ideas, and you're like, yeah, that sounds great. We can do that. And you probably others that are just like, I don't know.
Yeah,
can you figure it out? Right.
And we do that. We will, a lot of times they don't know exactly what they want it to look like, but they know they need a certain amount of counter space to display their products, or they know they want a monitor in order to show a video, or they know that they want wireless microphones in order to, be able to do a demonstration and broadcast it to their booth participants. So,
Hmm.
we try to get as much information as we can.
Yeah.
We do try to get at least some type of budget parameters, because we can do a booth for $3,000 or $4,000, and we've done booths for $400,000.
Yeah.
So, and it just really depends on what you want to spend and what you want to put in there.
No, I believe it. I believe it. Have you ever had a scenario where someone has, said, "Hey, we really want your help with the booth, or the setup or the exhibit, whatever. Here's what we want to do." Have you ever had to tell a client that what they have in their mind or what they think that they want is maybe not a great idea?
Yes.
I mean, I wish some people would have told me that a few times. It's like, oh, that's really cute, Brad. But no, that would be very, very stupid to do. So, yeah. So it sounds like you think about the client and what's in their best interest, even if they don't realize it. Sounds like.
Not only that, and an example I have is I just had a client who they do a 20 by 20 booth sometimes, and they do a 10 by 10 booth sometimes.
Yep.
Well, they're sending out their 10 by 10 booth, but they wanted basically the same furniture that they had in the 20 by 20. And I'm like, this is 1/4 of the booth space. You're going to have a 2-foot parameter around this furniture for people to walk. So, that's an example of, and we do lay things out for them. Anytime a client comes to us and wants a design, we create a full color rendering. The graphics that we apply to the rendering are just made up and can be replaced by whatever their artwork they submit, or we can design the graphics for them. But we do put something up there just to show where the graphics are going to go and how their colors are going to look in the booth. But yeah, we do have to tell people sometimes. The other thing that we look out for is their budget. If they want something and we know that they can get the same effect for a lesser cost, we will tell them that. One of our largest clients, constantly we do that with, and it's like they come up with these great ideas, and it's like, that's great, but we can achieve the same thing and it's going to be half the price.
Yeah.
And so we'll
Who
give them
doesn't
our
want that?
suggestion. Yeah. And that makes customers happy. We're not in it just to make the biggest amount of money. We want our clients to be happy and to keep coming back to us year after year after year. And like I said, I've been here 15 years, and we have a lot of clients that have been with us since I started working here.
Wow, that's awesome. That's the I think that's the goal of every company, is to have clients that just keep coming back. So that
Right.
you're doing
Exactly.
something right. Well, so one of the things I'm most curious about, especially for you and your company, since you've been doing this for so many years, and that is um, really a two-part question. The first part is like, what do businesses that are thinking about going to an exhibit, trade show, expo, what do they have to do to get people's attention, to stop and want to talk to people at their booth? Just sort of like conceptually, what are some of the things that you've seen that work versus things that don't work? And then I do want to dive into some of the trends that you've seen, because I know that there's been a lot of changes over the last 10, 15 years. So talk to us a little bit about how to get that engagement of people that are walking by the booth.
So lighting has become very important over the past probably 10 years, as LED lighting has far more solutions and different ways to use it. And it has become extremely inexpensive to use as well. So lighting has been a big thing. And also the thing I tell most people is movement attracts people to your booth, because when you're walking through a convention center, you see all these booths around you. And if you see something moving in a booth, it draws your eye to that booth. A lot of our clients use monitors to do that, but more and more they're getting to things like they want a sign that rotates on their booth. Maybe they want smoke. And if you'd like, I can show you some of the examples of different type of lighting and so
Yeah,
forth that
yeah,
we've
yeah,
used.
absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, let me share that with you.
I mean, in this particular type of podcast, seeing it is really, really helpful. It's one thing to describe it, but yeah, showing it and seeing it, love it.
Oh, I'm
I love it.
sorry. Hit the wrong button. I apologize for that. So yeah, here are some of the lighting solutions that we've done. Backlit graphics. Backlighting used to be very expensive.
Hmm.
It's now very inexpensive. In fact, there are a lot of people that are purchasing their own booths that can be reused. That first one is a completely backlit system. It can be used as a 10 by 20 back wall. It can also be used as a 10 by 10 back wall.
Hmm.
It can also be used in place of a banner stand. That second example are some LED rope lighting that we did. And that was supposed to show, that was supposed to replicate what data looks like going through their system. This was for a company that does computer stuff.
Hmm.
Also down lighting, like on the counter, you can see that there's some lighting underneath the counter there.
Yeah.
So all of those are different LED graphics. They also, people are using marquee lighting a lot more to bring attention to their booth. And then as we talked about movement, um, this first example on the left, that sign on top of that tower actually rotates.
Hmm.
The extra cost of that to put that up there and make it rotate is instead of being still is a couple $100s. It's not a whole lot of money to spend, and you get that movement.
Right.
The one on the right was a little more elaborate. That's a smokestack, and we actually set that up, produced that. So had a fog machine inside and a fan.
Hmm.
And when the client pressed a button, smoke would come out of the top of the smokestack.
Love it.
And that got a lot of attention.
No, I'm sure.
Yeah, that was
Fire marshals included.
exactly.
I love that.
But it
So,
was just a fog machine, so it wasn't a bad thing.
all right. So basically, the big picture summary of that is you got lighting trends, movement
Movement.
trends, things like that.
Games are also popular, giveaways. A
Mhm.
lot of people do the fishbowl thing, drop your card in. And, one of our clients, every time they go to a show, they give away an electric guitar. And they also have a guitar player that's playing on their stage during the trade show.
Wow, that's fantastic.
So,
What about some of like the, I don't know what you'd call it, more of the experiential type of booths, where there's like things to do there. Have you done much of that?
yeah, touching and where they can come in and actually show or actually see something in action or touch it and hold it. We actually recently did a booth that makes underwater robots that I'm not exactly sure. They have these underwater robots, and we actually built a metal wall so their robot could climb the wall during the trade show. And
Okay.
they had a remote control, and the robot was actually going all over the side of their trade show booth during the show.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah. So,
So it
yeah,
sounds
it's
very, very much so that it is about just being creative and thinking about what's possible, not just here's my message that I want people to read on a backdrop.
exactly.
Okay.
You need something to make you stand out from the crowd. And that's one of the reasons why a lot of people come to us. You can actually get a booth, rent a booth structure from the show contractor at a show, but it's a cookie cutter booth. It's going to look just like the booth next to you. Our booths are designed to draw your attention in, whether it's by using different colors, high gloss, specialized lighting, things that would draw the eye to this booth. And we have done some really unique booths. If you might want to look at a couple of those,
Mm-hmm.
we because we've had a we've had some people who have asked us for some unique ideas. I apologize that this wasn't at the top when I started.
Oh yeah, no problem.
This was a booth that they wanted a rock and roll theme,
Mm-hmm.
and so we had the flames. The tops of the tables, we printed those with vinyl prints to look like albums. And
Mm-hmm.
the albums actually had the client's logo in the middle. We had a cylinder. This is the people who gave away the guitar. We actually had that cylinder, which was lit inside so that the light shined up on the guitar that they were giving away.
Nice.
They had a swag station over here, like at a rock concert where they hung t-shirts, and that's where they gave their giveaways.
Mm-hmm.
This booth got a lot of attention.
Looks like it. Yeah.
The same client the next year actually went to a spaghetti Western
Hmm.
booth. So this was their spaghetti Western, with the the wheels. On this case, the tops of their tables were poker tables with
Okay.
their logo on it. We printed on felt and actually applied the felt to the tops of the tables to make them look like poker tables. This client also, and this is another way to draw people in, they also sponsored a lounge area.
Mm-hmm.
If you give somebody a place to sit down, maybe phone chargers are very popular where people can have outlets where they can sit and charge their telephone. We had one new client we recently did who wanted a table and chairs, and I'm like, you're right across from a coffee station. Let's put a sofa in your booth. And he was so happy after the show. He's like, that was the best idea because people would go across the aisle from him, get their cup of coffee, and come sit on the sofa, and he'd have a chance to talk to them. So,
I love it. I love it. Think now that you've had your free coffee, let me tell you about my, my
yeah, he
product.
lured him in with comfort, with a comfortable sofa. This was a client of ours, and this is a division of Hyundai Globus, where they actually ship the cars overseas,
Mm,
and they wanted us to build part of their boat. So this
wow.
is all built out of our extrusion, and this is that we built that big piece right here, which is where they would put that down to load the cars on.
Mm,
We printed the flooring to look like water. We also had rolling blue lights underneath the boat so that it looked like there were waves crashing up against the bottom of it.
nice.
And then this is the other side of it. It had two walls that were plexiglass, and inside it had a large conference room and a monitor in there where they could show demo their products.
Wow.
This was a recent booth. In fact, this one is being installed again this week, and this is Star Wars themed.
Mm.
You can't see it, but inside of there is an 8,000-pound TIE fighter
Oh my goodness.
from Star Wars. And these people actually had, you can't see some of the specialized lighting, but their tables had colored lighting that rotated. They also had flashing lights up in the corners of their booth that shone down different colors that flashed.
Hmm.
And they actually had Star Wars actors dressed as Star Wars character that wandered in and out of their booth.
Oh, that's funny.
The trade show had nothing to do with Star Wars,
Okay.
but their booth was one of the most popular booths at the last trade show they went to.
That's cool.
And this is probably our one of my favorite booths that we've done. And this is a company that makes tree stands for hunting.
Hmm.
And we actually produced these trees that are on the side. That is rubber bark on there.
Hmm.
The panels are made to be interchangeable. So all the way around 360 around the booth, doesn't matter what order you put them in because that picture is repeating.
Mm.
And those trees are actually strong enough that if a person wanted to sit in the tree stand, it would hold them. The show regulations would never allow that for safety reasons, but
I'm sure.
but you could if you wanted to.
Yeah.
So those are just some of the more unique booths,
Yeah. That's
that
really cool.
we've made.
That's really cool. Well, again, you're continuing to reinforce this concept for me, which is, whatever I thought booths could be, it's probably a fraction of what it actually could be when you've got somebody who's got a good design team, creative thinking, think outside the box. And of course, I mean, this is what I love about companies like y'all's is you've been doing this so many years. You've probably tried a whole bunch of stuff that didn't work and
Oh
learned
yes.
from that, right? And now you're consistently producing really really good stuff and impactful stuff for clients. So I just think it's amazing the kind of stuff you guys have been able to produce.
Yeah, and another thing, kind of backing up just a little bit, is that there's a lot more to a trade show than just somebody designing a booth and sending it in and it gets set up. There's all your show contractor things that go on, material handling, electrical services, plumbing. We have a lot of people who need water in their booths, disposal of that water. I may electricity, booth cleaning,
Yeah.
like And so there's a lot of things, and we handle that from start to finish. We will work with the show contractors and arrange all those services on the client's behalf.
Okay.
That's all done, excuse me, by the project manager,
Okay.
and make sure that everything is ready when you get to the show floor.
Okay, now I'm going to ask you a question. I mean, you brought it up, so I'm going to go there. So at the last conference that we were at, and it was the Home Builders one in Orlando, they had a couple booths. One in particular that had a fully filled up jacuzzi, and then
Mhm.
a couple booths down, there was another guy that had it was probably like a 10 by 20 foot pool. I mean,
Right.
4 foot, 6 foot, something like that deep pool. And I, as I was walking past it, that was my question: is like, first off, where'd the water come from? And then what in the world are they going to do with that thing when the show's over and they're tearing it down? It's like there's not like a sink anywhere that you can just like you know how does that work?
So that is handled by the show contractors. The water either is usually, there are pipes that come up out of the floor, or more often the pipes come down out of the ceiling.
Really
Yeah. And yeah, and so you can get water in and out of the booth, and that's how they get the water in and out of the booth. But
interesting. So you basically got to say, hey, we've got a, a 6 by 10 by 20 pool with this much cubic water, whatever you want to call it. How you help me get this thing in there and then suck it all out when you're done?
right, yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So
I mean, I knew it had to get there somehow, and I was like, yeah, it had to get.
yeah, all of the convention centers have the availability for water. We don't
Interesting.
do a lot of pools and jacuzzis, but we do a company that makes slushy machines, and they actually run their slushy machines, so they need water
Mm-hmm.
to come in to do that. So they actually have a raised flooring where we can run all of the pipes underneath the flooring to get to their different stations all over their booth.
Okay. Wow. That's funny. I mean, that's fascinating. Well, as we get to the end of this, maybe just this wasn't one of the questions that I had thought of before, and I'm just kind of curious, like, how do you help a client save money? I mean, that's what every client wants, right? It's like, hey, I want the world, but I want to do it for less money than maybe I want to pay. So, what are some of those things that you guys do to help clients save money? You already mentioned that you think differently about certain things, but just are there any big picture concepts on how to save money?
The biggest way to send money or save money on a trade show booth is to the design of it. Like the types of booths that we build, I said, are metal extrusion. If the metal shows, that's the least expensive type,
Mhm. Mhm.
where the panels are infill.
Yeah.
One of the things that we also do on any booth that ships anywhere, even the ones in Houston, we go out to three different freight carriers, or they have to be specialized trade show freight people, but we go out to three different freight companies and get bids,
Hmm.
so that we make sure that the you know the they get the best possible rate with good service. We do limit it to three because trade show freight is not like shipping a load of bricks. It has to be in the marshaling yard at a certain time, picked up at a certain time, that type of thing.
Hmm.
But we do try to save money that way.
Yep.
um Different things with graphics. If we know a better way for them to do their graphics, it's going to be less expensive. We do all of our own graphic printing in-house of all hard panel graphics. So that usually saves them money because we're not having to outsource. Excuse me. The only graphics that we don't print are fabric graphics. Those we
Hmm.
do outsource, but everything hard panel, and we can print on basically anything. Um, and that's the ways that we try to save our clients money. Lighting, again, we can come up with ways to do lighting that is less expensive.
Hmm.
One of the biggest expenses in trade shows, however, is material handling, and that, unfortunately, a lot of people don't understand, and is horribly expensive, especially after COVID.
Yeah.
And we cannot control that because that is through the show contractor.
And how do you define, material handling? Is
So what material handling is we ship to the show and it gets to the dock.
hmm.
Material handling is the charge that the show contractor charges to take it off the truck, deliver it to the booth, take the empties back to storage, after the show, take the empties back to the
Mm,
booth, and then take them back to the loading dock.
okay.
And a lot of times that material handling, it's charged per pound. And a lot of times the material handling is actually more expensive than shipping to the show.
Wow.
It's right now up to, when I started here 15 years ago, it was about 75 cents a pound. And now the average is probably $1.60 a pound.
Okay.
And booths are heavy, but we will try to do things. Another thing we do, if somebody wants something that's real heavy, like we had somebody who wanted to ship their valve, which weighed like 300 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
And we found a company who could actually replicate it in foam
Mm.
and paint it. And it looked just like their valve. And it all of a sudden weighed 22 pounds.
Well,
You know,
I'm sure that saved a little bit of money on materials handling.
and on shipping, I mean,
Yeah.
and somebody having to lug it around, and yeah, it
Yeah.
was expensive to have it made, but once it was done after 2 shows, it paid for itself. So,
Love it.
we do try to come up with creative ways to make things easier.
That's
Um,
fantastic.
the other thing too is that we like that one that I showed you with the tree.
Mm-hmm.
That was actually built because we did the installation and dismantle the first show. The
Mm-hmm.
client wanted to do it themselves. So we made it super simple to put those panels together so that basically anybody can do it.
Wow, that's really cool. That's really cool. Well, so I want to wrap up with one other question that I'm super curious about. So obviously, you guys are doing design, production. You're doing project management or PM assignments. You're doing shipping and fulfillment. Like, how do you guys manage all of those details? Like, how do you manage all of those processes that are happening all the time?
With Quickbase.
Okay, tell me more, just a little bit more about that.
So, if I may,
Yeah.
when I was originally hired here 15 years ago, they were doing managing production on Excel spreadsheets.
Mm,
And they had production folders that were sometimes 6 inches thick.
yep.
And I was originally hired to find a software that would manage our production.
Mm-hmm.
And I found Quickbase in 2011. And we had help building our production into Quickbase, and it now takes care of it. Sends us reminders when the PM needs to do things. It sends us reminders when we have a new client or new project. It manages our production from start to finish, from the time we get a job that needs to be designed to the time the booth comes back. Everything is managed through Quickbase.
Wow, that's fantastic. Well, I'm glad that is a solution that is working for you. And I know that's one of the things that we do, of course. we build those types of systems, but I'm glad it's working for you.
Yeah, and it's actually, we have another division, or not division, but part of our company where we do recruiting
Mhm.
stuff for a large oil company. And we built a whole new app just for that, and it's worked wonders, and our client is happy with it. And if Quickbase went away tomorrow, I'd probably retire. So
Well, I don't imagine they're going away anytime soon. So
well,
I
thank
think
goodness, because
you're gonna have to put off your retirement.
there is no way that people here can say I forgot to do something, because Quickbase always reminds us.
Okay, that's fantastic. Well, thanks again for just taking time out of your day just to talk about the problems that you guys solve. And so, as I always do, I just think about people that are listening that are like, I need that, I need help with that. So, if somebody wanted to reach out to you guys to get help with exhibits, how do they do that? How do they get a hold of you?
They can call us. Our number here is 832-358-2002. Or they can look us up online at esntradeshow.com, or they're more than welcome to email me at bwoody@esntradeshow.com.
Okay, perfect. And again, for those of you that either you're in a car, you're driving around, you didn't have a place to write that down, you can always reach out to us at VARC Solutions, and we will be happy to put you in touch with Barb at Exhibitor Service Network. So thanks for being on the show again, Barb.
Thank you so much. I appreciate.
Absolutely. And for those of you that are watching, I really do hope this was a helpful episode for you. Again, if you just were in that listen only mode, definitely go watch the YouTube version of this so you can see some of the visuals that Barb shared. And yeah, the next time you're looking to go to a trade show and you want to maximize that experience and maximize the return on your investment there, let's get you over to the ESN folks and have them build you a booth. So thanks again for watching, and we'll see you again next time.
There is a Solution for That is produced by VARC Solutions. This episode was produced by Ashley White and Aaron Riley. You can subscribe to this podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Watch the video version on youtube.com/There's a Solution for That. Or visit varcsolutions.com/podcast, where you'll find our entire podcast archive, as well as show notes, links to solution providers, and complete transcripts of every episode. If you love the podcast, please leave a review with your comments.